Hi, my name is Rachna Heizer. I have been an instructor with University Studies since 2012, first part-time and then full-time. I started my career as a lawyer, specializing in employment law and corporate law. As you can see, I am participating virtually in this presentation, which makes me an ideal candidate to talk about the virtual workplace and how virtual leadership can help bridge the gender gap. I am not only presenting virtually, but I've been working virtually for Texas Tech since 2012. I live in Virginia, but began teaching part-time in 2012 and then full-time in 2013. The virtual workplace has allowed me to have a career in a field in which I can use my expertise, my background, and my skills. I'm a prime example of how virtual leadership and virtual teams can bridge the gender gap. When I graduated from law school, I had grand plans to work for a large multinational law firm, which I did, practicing corporate law and employment law. I grew up in the quote-unquote divorce era, where many women were entering the workforce, creating an early generation of daughters who took for granted that we would work in the same professional capacity as the men with whom we went to school. But like so many of those women that I went to college and then law school with, my plans shifted when I had children and understood the impact of childcare upon a job that required complete dedication to the office. My plans shifted even more when my second child was diagnosed with autism. Flexibility became the name of the game. Working for a large law firm with demands on my time became impossible. Raising a child with special needs does come with an additional set of demands, but the reality is that many women find it difficult to manage a work-life balance when working in a professional setting. I left the law firm. I started my own company providing corporate and employment law consulting, which initially gave me more flexibility, but as we became successful, the travel and other demands made it impossible to meet both my professional and my personal needs. Even with a supportive spouse, the impact of child responsibilities made me confront some very tough choices when caring for children and pursuing careers in fields that required dedication, time in the office, consistency, longevity. So the ability to find a career that fits my education, my skills, my passions is professionally challenging and rewarding, and where my skills and knowledge can be used has been very difficult. I taught at George Mason University, which is in Virginia, full-time, and loved it, and still had difficulty with some of the flexibility required with my job. So when I had a chance to teach virtually for Texas Tech, it seemed like an answer to my needs. Teaching virtually, working virtually, can be an answer to many women's needs. Norma Carr Ruffino quotes about work-life balance and the impact on the gender gap. She states, quote, "One reason we are continuing to discuss the challenges that women face in the workplace is the unique responsibilities faced by women regarding the work-life balance," unquote. Childcare concerns in our society is often the primary reason professional women opt out of the workforce. But those who do opt out pay a big career penalty. Only 40% return to full-time jobs similar to what they were doing before. Indeed, a 2009 Center for Work-Life Policy survey of, quote, highly qualified women, unquote, they consider these women with advanced degrees or high honors undergraduate degrees, found that among those who had stepped away from their careers, 69% said they would not have done so if their workplace offered more flexible work arrangements. So how do we bridge this gender gap? How do we retain women with these valuable skills in the workplace? Well, to do so requires a change in organizational culture that supports a work-life balance, and that requires a change in organizational culture that embraces the virtual workplace, with virtual teams, with flexibility, with the understanding that we don't need to be in the office to create a successful organization or workplace. Virtual workplaces with effective virtual leadership can create this organizational change and bridge the gender gap to allow women to better utilize their skills and education in pursuing their career. I am living proof of this. Living in Virginia, successfully having taught for Texas Tech for 3.5 years. In addition to teaching a full course load, all online, I have collaborated with my colleagues on conference presentations, developed new courses, and worked with my colleagues in planning for the future of our department. And it's worked beautifully. Our department has grown significantly in the past few years and continues to grow. Technology, the understanding of how to work in a virtual team, has afforded me the chance to work in a field and a career that I love, and allows me to bring my unique skill set to Texas Tech. Without online classes and the effective use of technology, this job wouldn't exist. So you might ask, how does this all work? Well, virtual teams must operate on the principles of trust, mutual respect, and connectiveness. But most importantly, virtual teams must know how to communicate and collaborate while in different time zones. Dr. McCourt and Dr. Yarbrough and I communicate often via email, with phone calls or Skype conferences as needed. But in reality, quick but asynchronous communication, such as email, is the mainstay of our collaboration. We also maintain a professional but casual communication with, quote, virtual jokes, personal anecdotes about our lives, and a sense of mutual respect and trust. I believe this allows us to build that type of relationship that's often built at the water cooler, the relationship that's often the glue that holds that team together, that personal connection. To me, what often gets missed in the virtual teams is that personal connection, that loyalty, that sense of respect and trust. So how do you replace that bond, that loyalty, that familiarity? Well, we as a team are successful because we do operate in a casual but professional communication method. And Dr. McCourt is the one who leads us and sets this example for us. She demonstrates many of the characteristics needed for virtual leadership. First, trust in us. Second, directing department and tasks that need to be done, but then trusting that we can be responsible for our own work. Trusting that we will reach out to her if we need additional guidance, and a quick response to questions we may have. She has the right balance of professionalism and casualness in her communication, sets clear expectations, but is also very collaborative in reaching out to us to develop department goals, future plans, share good news, and ask for advice on how to succeed as a team. This type of collaborative, respectful, casual, but professional communication builds relationships, builds trust, and respect amongst all members of the team, whether virtual or not. It also fosters a mutual desire to contribute to the success of the organization, beyond the specifics of our job duties. Communication and collaboration has been the cornerstone of success for our department and is key to the success for virtual teams. Successful virtual teams is not only critical to reducing the gender gap, but it's also important as more millennials and the generation that follows enter the workplace. Millennials and the generation that follow have grown up communicating virtually with their peers and their teachers. For them, virtual teams are almost more commonplace than face-to-face teams, at least in schools. Texting, messaging, and email have all replaced face-to-face conversation as the primary forms of communication for many millennials and the generation after them. If we are to successfully include millennials and hope to reduce the gender gap, especially for the next generation of women, we must embrace the virtual workplace with asynchronous and electronic forms of communication and learn to build the trust, respect, and connectivity without needing everyone to be in the same place at the same time. Virtual leadership and the virtual workplace has allowed me to maintain the work-life balance so necessary for raising a special needs child, and has allowed me to bridge the gender gap by pursuing a professional career in the field of my expertise. It holds the potential to do this for many women who otherwise feel an inability to return to the workplace in a capacity to which their skills, talent, and education are best utilized. Thank you. Have a great day.